friends, how's it going? So a little bit of fingerstyle fun for you on this Friday. New camera view. I'm trying this out. I think this gives you the as you see it point of view for guitar, and I want to show it here. So I got the tabs on top, and let's try this out. I just want to show you something I'm working on and call out a little topic or a theme that is something that I think is worth being aware of. The topic is going to be voice leading. And this is a formal term I've only, in the past week, kind of rediscovered, right? I'm sure I learned about it back in school or this or that, but honestly, it was watching this video, which I can't recommend enough. It talks about, building your own arrangements of things. And as we move from chord to chord to chord, looking for those ways where we can thread a continuous melodic line, right, that moves from one chord to the other, but it almost presents this sense of a voice leading, forward, so to speak. So let's look at this little progression here. So we're going to be in the key of D, no capo, standard tuning, right? The chords I'm going to be using really quick. Let me walk you through these. The first one's a D, but I'm going to be putting my pinky up here on the 5th fret. Now this is tricky to do. If you can't do it, you could do a regular D, although what I would actually recommend in this case is just letting that open string be, that high E string be open. So you have a D sus2, right? So you have a big picture, it's a D, add this A note, right? This is the 5th degree of the D scale, if you can, with your pinky, or if not, just keep the high E string open. And there's gonna be a reason for that. The second chord, it's gonna be the same placement for these two fingers right here, but we're gonna move our ring finger to the 4th fret of the 5th string. Okay, this is basically a D over C sharp. So it's a D chord, right? But C sharp is going to be our bass note instead of a regular D bass note, right? The next chord, it's going to be a D over C. So it's requires some little finger manipulation here where we're effectively going to move this middle finger to the 5th string 2nd fret, and then our ring finger switches up to this 2nd string. So notice on these first 3 chords, these 2 notes are consistent, right? And the bass note is moving down, so that gets to that voice leading I'm going to talk about. I'll come back to that in a second. The next chord, effectively these 3rd and 4th chords are effectively going to be a G and a G minor. Okay, now here's the deal. I don't want to do this full barred chord version of G minor because it's not fun to play. I don't enjoy playing it, and it's probably not accessible for those of you who can't do bar chords. So what we can do here for this G is just use a regular G chord. We're not going to play the 5th string, so you can mute that with your whatever finger you have on the low E string, right? But you want to leave the 2nd string open, okay? And actually a trick, I kind of lied about the 5th string, is you can use a B bass note for that G. So you could do 2nd, don't play the 4th string, or if you do play it open, that's fine. 2nd, open, 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 3rd. So this is a G over B, and then the next chord is going to be a G minor. The minimum way to play this is just 3rd fret, muted, open, 3rd, 3rd. Okay, this gets that minor 3rd in there, which makes it a G minor. You could leave the high E string open if you want, or you could do it like this, right? 3rd, muted, don't play it or leave it open, and then 3rd, 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 right? Okay, so from the top, our D over C sharp, our D over C, our G, or G over B, right? Our G minor, okay? Then we're gonna go back to a regular D chord, and if you want, you can sneak in this B minor 7 voicing, okay? And then we're gonna go to either a regular E or an E7, by putting your pinky there. But you could use a regular E if you want. And then an A or an A7, right? And then back to a D. So that's the progression. Let me just sort of do a simple plucky strum of each one just to give you an idea of the timing, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, for that first chord, if it's giving you trouble, just forget that note up there and just play, right? So, and if you do this, the nice part is you have this open E string that's going to be a constant theme on so many of these chords. Check this out. I'm just going to loosely, freely finger pick. Okay, now here's where we're going to get into that voice leading topic. I want to call out some of these notes and how from chord to chord there is this thread, this melodic thread that we can hear, right? So the first one is just going to be the bass note on the first chord, second chord, third chord, and the fourth chord. Notice how we're going from this open fourth string, which is a D. It's the same as this note, right? To a C sharp, to a C, to a B. This is just going chromatic descending, it's going down one note at a time, one half step at a time. So we say chromatic because we're hitting every single note along the way, right? Da, 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 da. Technically in the key of D, we don't play C. It's not a diatonic, it's not in the D major chord, but sometimes you do this in songs. The couple examples here, really quick, are, raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the man whose feet are too big for his... What I did there is I played a D, then I played a D major 7, right? Open, second, second, second. Then I played a D7, a dominant 7, D, open, second, first, second. Then I played a G. Now, what's the sort of voice leading that's happening there? Would you know, it's the same exact notes that we're doing here. They're just an octave apart, right? D, C sharp, C, B, over a D chord, a D major 7 chord, a D7 chord, and a G chord, okay? So this is used in lots of different songs. That's one example. Another one up there in D is everybody's talking at me. I can't hear what they're saying. Same thing. D major 7, D7. And I think this is like a D6 or something, because this B is the 6th degree of the D scale. That's another example. And then one other one that's outside of the key of D is, I think Dylan plays this in E, Simple Twist of Fate, where we have an E to an E major 7, right? We walk together, we walk together in the park, as the evening sky grew dark, to an E7. 'Twas then that he felt a spark, to the 4 chord, A. Tingled to his bones, then the A minor. 'Twas then he felt alone, and then back to the tonic, right? Same thing there. It's a different key, but it's the same, it sounds like the same voice movement that's happening. Okay, so back to this one here. First 4 chords, you hear that descending bass note. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever you do on the thinnest strings doesn't really matter. On that 3rd chord, I added that high A note again, which you can do. You don't have to. But that's the first point I want to call out. Is in this progression, if you're plucking it, give the bass notes clean sounds. Whoops, I messed up. Okay? Now the next movement that happens, we're going from this G to this G minor. Do you hear the movement there? There's only a 1 note difference, especially when I play it in this voicing. That motion, that movement is happening from this note to this note. Now, from a theory point of view, G is G and G minor. The only difference is the 3rd degree of the chord, right? So B is our major 3rd based on the G root note, right? And then B flat is our minor 3rd. So if we keep all the other notes the same, we're gonna, G, G minor. That's the only note that's different. Now, when I'm playing this, though, remember I'm talking about playing it, whether you have a bass note here or a bass note here, it doesn't really matter. For the G major, I talked about leaving these two strings open. The reason why is we want that B to sound out. The B is the second string open. Okay, when we go to a G minor, the easy way, third string, third fret, low E string, and then third fret of the second and third string. So when we go from this, or this, you get that downward motion. Even though I'm adding fingers right here for the minor chord, right? This is my major, this is my minor. It sounds like it's going down because of this open B string, which is a B, to this third fret, third string, which is a B flat. Our ears are just really good at sort of hearing that difference. Okay, so that's the next sort of voice leading that's happening, right? Now, here's the question for you. Where does this go next? Right? B to a B flat. If we just continue that chromatic theme, it's to an A. Now, the next chord is a D major, and what are the notes in D major? D, F sharp, and A. A is the 5th degree of the D major scale. It's the sort of, it's in the D major triad there. So basically, when we go from this G to this G minor, then we go back to the tonic, or the one chord, you get that A in there, okay? So it's not necessarily as clear of a motion. But it is there. So that's the next one I want to call out. And then we're going to have this little turnaround here, these last couple chords, right? From this D. I like to do that little walk down. Dum, bum, bum. So I'm going from a D, C sharp bass note to a B bass note for that B minor chord, right? And then you could add a little A bass note. And then you go to this E, and then the A, and then the D. Now here's the next thing I want to talk about is this transition from the E major, or E7, to A, or A7, up to the D, okay? There's a couple different motions happening here. One is the bass notes, right? R, E, to A, to D. It's just the open 6th string, to 5th string, to 4th string. Okay, that's a nice little bass movement that's sort of going up from this low E to this A to this D. But there's other stuff going on here. If we do a regular E and we do our 2nd string as the melody note, and then we do an A with the 2nd string melody note again, and then we go to a D, which ends it with the 2nd string melody note. Listen how that 2nd string is doing all the melodic sort of motion there. So it's moving up as the bass notes are moving up. So one thing I learned from this video I watched that I recommended, he talks about parallel motion or parallel movement, where you have two different voices moving in the same direction, like up or down. Now technically, to be precise, to be exactly parallel, maybe they need to move at the same exact intervals, right? Like this might be thirds. I'm sort of moving these thirds parallel, as I understand. I don't know if major and minor thirds makes a difference there. I have a lot to learn on this topic, but you can hear this, right? Just as the bass notes are going up, we have these 2nd string notes going up. Okay, so that's happening sort of in parallel. But we have options, like say with that E, say we do an E7 instead. Then we could do a regular A, and then go back to a D. So the movement here, the voice is going from bum, 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 bum. And he talks about that as well in that other video. I think he calls this back and forth. Let me look up actually what it is. I want to get it right. I was sort of taking notes as I was watching this. And yeah, he calls it back and forth. Just similar to the way free falling, right? that melody note in free falling. Dum, bum, 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 dum. We're, you know, if you play it like I did in the key of D, this is F sharp. This is our 3rd degree of the C scale. We're going from 3, 4, 4, 3, 2. Now he's doing different chords under that. But my point is calling this back and forth as a term as far as voice leading here, right? If we go from our E7 to our A to our D, you get that. You get that. Dum, bum, 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 bum. But another thing we could do with that last E is going from an E7 to an A sus4 to a D, okay? And here, this note is going to stay constant. So you have all this stuff happening with the bass notes changing. And he calls this oblique movement, I believe, where oblique means one thing is staying constant. One voice is staying stable while another voice is moving. So that's just a cool part about this last measure. As I noodle my way through this, you have that option of doing the oblique thing where this note stays constant, right? Or you could do the back and forth, or you could do the sort of upward movement that is in parallel motion to the bass. No wrong way to do this. That's the great part, especially when you're noodling around. You can have lots of fun with experimenting, and that's why it's worth learning like the D major scale or just knowing where those notes are, because you know, it informs the sort of flourish note you can add to any of these chords. That was a bit sloppy, but yeah, so that's going to be the main things to pay attention to. Now, as far as finger picking this, the simple pattern I like to use in this case, I'm not going to do any Travis picking or anything. I'm just going to go thumb, index, middle, ring on bass note for the thumb, and then typically the thinnest 3 strings for these 3 fingers, okay? I'm gonna play that once, and then start to play it again, but then omit that last note, right? Little bit of an adjustment there for the B minor. And then do a little bit of flourish on the A. You could sort of, or the D. You could do that, hammer on that 2nd fret note on the thinnest string, or maybe hammer on this pinky. Lots of options you have there. So I'm just going to play this a few times, go out, you know, noodling around. And if you want to get the chord guide for this, with the tabs, the finger positions, all that stuff, and some of these notes I have, you can get it on the lesson page. The link's in the description. Let me know what you thought about this one, y'all. I want to just sort of sneak in these quick ones, share what I'm working on, the other videos I'm watching, and all that sort of thing. And this has been a fun one to practice and play. So it's part of another lesson I'm working on. If you recognize what it might be from, let me know. And otherwise, you can look out for that one soon. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'll see you in the next one. You mess up, you keep going.